Hello, everyone. Damn it, I missed it. Sorry, there's a lot of things going on. Folks, this is Local Chat, episode 155. Perfect attempts at the intro, and I just botched it there. Joining me this week is the one and only and beautiful Jake Terrio.
Hello.
And get ready for this reveal. Kyle Bailey's here. Also beautiful,
wow.
handsome, and gorgeous.
I love starting this episode off like anytime I start recording myself. It's just, hey, oh shit! Like I can't believe I screwed that up immediately. That's how it always goes.
Oh yeah, constantly. Folks, we are here to talk about video games. We're here to talk about all sorts of things. You know. Yep, that's it. That's the episode. We're done. Ian is away this week. He said goodbye. I need to play Phantom Liberty. I'm gonna set aside a bunch of time to play that. And then I think he made it 2 hours is what I'm hearing from local sources.
2 hours.
Wild. Idris Elba showed up.
Barely out of the intro.
He probably just started the game, like the entire game, and was like, "Well, I've already played this." And yeah. Just couldn't decide between Penis 1 and 2.
I've already done this. Oh, I can never decide between Penis 1 and 2. But I did save a chit-chat portion from last week because I figured I'll wait for the film boys to be on it. Not that Ian's not a film boy, but I feel like you're accredited film boys.
He didn't go to film school, all right? So it doesn't count.
Yeah. The same one.
Technically, you didn't graduate, Jake.
It's true.
Technically.
I'm a college dropout.
So it doesn't count. No, all the cool people dropped out of college, so you've got more street cred than I do.
And no loans.
Oh, both of you did. I thought you finished college.
I did 2 semesters of college.
Oh,
that's
okay.
all I did. No degrees over here. Just drop out.
My respect for you just dropped. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn it. No, so I saved over the Christmas break here. Actually, New Year's Eve, Karen and I watched The Terminator, which is a film starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, among other people.
Jim Cameron classic.
Yep. I'd never seen it before.
Linda Hamilton.
Hamilton classic.
John. He's in that.
C. Riley.
Yep, John C. Riley's in that.
A very young
Ramsey.
John C. Riley. Oh yeah, she's great. She's great.
Yeah, they're all in that. And I'd never seen it before. I just want to say, I would like to be on this podcast and say, folks, Terminator, great movie. Fantastic movie. Although a lot of people probably don't like it, I immediately fell in love with the stop motion effects.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's all good.
It's like it's the rawest of that type of effects I've ever seen.
It's such a nice comparison between where Cameron is now versus like how he started, because like the makeup scene, or not the makeup scene, but when Arnold is fixing like his eye, it looks terrible. Like it looks really bad, but it works. Like it just works within the context. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like you put it in like the art film category, and you're like, okay, I'll just like forgive all these.
It was the 90s.
It was so then I watched Terminator 2. Now I've heard a lot of things about Terminator 2, Judgment Day. And I think it would have been different under different circumstances. It was also a movie I've never seen before. And I didn't like Terminator 2 as much as I like Terminator 1. And I didn't like either of them as much as I thought I should like them, which I think is surprising.
Why? What do you think didn't connect for you?
I don't know. Like Terminator 2, first of all, I found the child annoying. And I know.
Welcome to James Cameron movies.
I know. And it's like, I get that. Like, I like Last Action Hero, but that kid is also annoying. So that
Never
I was
seen
a little iffy. Oh, it's a pretty good movie. Iffy on. I will say the CGI a lot better. Or the CGI a lot better. The practical effects also a lot better. The CGI still holds up. Like I can see how the Metal Man would be done today and how it would be done better. but when you watch the movie, you like dismiss all the imperfections as that's just what the T1000 is. So like, even though it's not perfect reflections like they would have today, you're just like, oh, the T1000 probably has a composite that like doesn't fully reflect all the light. So like, it's good enough where like everything works still. And those scenes still look gorgeous. The updated Arnold mask almost quite fools you. And it's like so different from when he just has the makeup with showing like scratches and stuff that I'm like, why didn't they just go with the makeup the entire time? But I will say, other than that, like I thought it was a fun movie and a great movie. It's just like I feel like it didn't engage me as much as the original. And that I will admit, I do really like that the movie does you don't know which Terminator is the bad Terminator for like the first 30 minutes until they reach the hallway scene where he like saves the kid.
Good bit
John
though. When
Connor
he pulls that shotgun out of that box of roses.
Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah.
that moment is great. So like I'll give it all that, but like going back to it, like I finished both those movies and they're not like I would go like I want to go watch Commando and Total Recall again. Like I didn't put them in that same category of like I just want to put Terminator 2 on or I want to put Terminator on. Like they didn't quite have that cult like attack on me that I thought they would.
I think for me, and it does make sense. I think for me, also, Jake, did you say Terminator was in the 90s?
Am I misremembering?
It's original Terminator was like 80s. I think it was 84, right?
Oh,
yeah, it was like
yeah,
very
I'm
80s. That you confused me, and I was like, was I wrong? But I'm pretty sure it's in the 80s. Maybe T2 was in the 90s. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to call you out on your bullshit.
I'm a hack. I'm a fraud.
No, I think okay. So there's definitely like a discrepancy between movies that I grew up watching from that era and movies that I saw way after from that era. So like Star Wars obviously was like 70s and 80s. And I grew up watching those movies. So they were approachable from, you know, a more of like a childhood aspect of life. And Terminator was very like R-rated, like very mature, very violent and stuff. And Star Wars is not that. And my dad loves Terminator and he loves T2, but we didn't grow up watching it. It was something like my dad knew about, he saw in theaters, and then like was always like, oh, when you're old enough, we can watch this or something like that. So there's a little bit of like detachment from the, especially those movies. The difference, the weird difference is that on the other side of the James Cameron sphere, I watched Alien and Aliens from a very young age and love those movies. Like I love Aliens because my dad hyped it up, and it was one of those movies where he was like, I love this movie so much, I don't care if you're old enough to see it, like we're gonna watch it. So like I never had that with Terminator, and I think Jake, I don't know when you saw it like for the first time, but I remember I think I was in college when I watched it for the first time, and I watched it from a much more like analytical, technical perspective of like, oh, it's really cool how they did this, or like I wonder how I would have approached the same problem. So like there's a little bit of like detachment from enjoyment for that, if that makes sense. And I don't like love Terminator the way I love like Aliens or Star Wars or something like that. So I kind of get that.
I don't. Oh, sorry. You go, Jake.
No, I mean, I was gonna answer Kyle's question. It was college the first time that I saw the Terminators. Even though my dad worked on press for Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines,
the best one,
but that would have been the mid 2000s, and was not allowed to see it. But no, I think Will, your reception to the Terminator films is fair. I think James Cameron is a much better visual storyteller than he is a like nuts and bolts writer. Like all the scripts that he's written, they're good scripts. They're solid, well constructed. But he's not going to win, you know, best original screenplay or best adapted screenplay. It does what it needs to do to get to the meticulously thoughtful, well constructed action set pieces.
Yeah.
Like the back third of Avatar: The Way of Water rocks, even
I
though that
lo-
script on the whole is just like, oh, whatever.
I have the 4K remastered version of that movie, and I'm waiting for the opportune moment to watch it because I liked it so much as an experience
Oh yeah.
that like I kind of don't want to forget how good that experience was. And even though it's like, I have like a nice TV and surround sound system, it's not the same. It's like watching Dune for the first, not David Lynch's Dune, the Denis Villeneuve Dune for the first time, where it's like, it just kind of washes over you. Washes being, a pun on The Way of Water that I did on purpose. But yeah, I don't think James, if I can call him Jimmy. I don't think Jimmy, Timothy, Jonathan. I don't think that he writes to create something subtle. He knows what he's doing with the entire lack of subtlety, and that's partially why people like him so much, is because he's accessible and he's good. He's good at what he does. His movies. If I had to describe his filmography, is like chunky. It's just like big, like there's a lot of like machinery, and it's like very like blunt, but it just works because of the way it moves and shifts. So I don't know. I like James Cameron a lot.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that he started as a storyboard artist. The way the visual component to all his films.
You can tell he started as a trucker because he was a trucker before he was a filmmaker, which is awesome.
That truck scene in T2.
Yeah. Dude, he knows
through the LA River.
Insane. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I think I agree with you. Like, I would rather. So I should explain again. Like, I was thinking, oh, Terminator 2 or Terminator's gonna be a movie I slot into like my 80s movie rotation, but it's not quite like I'm not driven to watch it again. But what after you guys said. What I am driven to do is like I want to watch scenes again. Like I want to watch scenes from that movie again. But I don't want to necessarily like put the whole movie on and make it an event. But like I want to see like your foster parents are dead and like all that stuff again because
is that an important scene for you?
It's so good. Where he's like ask about the dog.
The pan from her on the phone to the liquid metal arms stabbing up through the dad's
and you knew
skull
what happened for like 2 minutes. You're like, that guy's dead
onto the floor. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Also, Will, your wife has been commenting incessantly.
I know,
and you have not acknowledged her at all.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you two, boys. I listen, men over wives. Oh, I'm just kidding. I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation, but Karen,
don't be sexist. Subpixel over wives. Subpixel.
She was telling us, yes, the first Terminator was 84 or 85, and then T2 was 10 years later, because that makes sense, because he was supposed to be 10 years old, I think. The child.
It was the 90s? T2 was in the 90s?
T2 was 95.
Karen, I'm offended for you.
Damn.
So,
Damn.
Also, I did want to say something just real quick about, you mentioned how you thought the CGI held up really well. I think, at least in part, because CGI was obviously just getting its start back in the 90s, they had to be so incredibly intentional about how they shot and constructed everything that like it almost couldn't fail. Like if it didn't work, they would have scrapped it. They would have been like, we need to find a different way of doing this. But like the fact that they, like Jake said, like they storyboarded everything very meticulously and they knew exactly what each effect would look like, because if I remember correctly, they worked with the storyboard artists and the CGI artists to like what's possible. They were like, what can you make it so that it's similar in what we're thinking we're going to see to what we actually can do. And they don't really do that today, at least not to the same effect. I'm sure certain films do that, but like Marvel is not meticulously for months planning like every little thing. Like they're changing things up at the very last second, which is causing chaos. And that's, the time and effort that's put into a single shot is not the same as it was back in the 90s. And I think that's sad.
Yeah.
It's certainly cheaper, apparently.
Oh yeah.
I can't possibly, I don't understand how, like, not that this is just going to be a movie podcast for a whole hour, but I don't understand how
I'm not upset if it is.
the giant like VFX pipeline consistently creates stuff that's just so whatever.
Mediocre.
When like like Jurassic Park was 1993 and T2 was what you said 1995. And just like where is it?
Yeah.
Where is that?
I think like options opened up and then people couldn't say no. So it was like, hey, what can you do with the dinosaurs? We can do X, Y, and Z with the dinosaurs. Okay, let's make that perfect. Versus,
I feel like
what can you do with a Marvel movie? Oh, I can change the skin tone on every single character. I can change the freckles. I can add hair. I can add blah, blah. And they're like, okay, so let's just film a green screen and then start with that.
And then showcase Quantumania.
This to be my final thought.
Okay.
That Return of the King is like the last really high watermark of well integrated CGI of like a giant blockbuster film of that kind. Obviously we still have great like the films of Denis Villeneuve specifically, I think, are really intentional and methodical about how they use their digital effects. But to be like Return of the King is kind of that like the last big blockbuster to do it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see that.
And I even have like not issues, but like I think my least favorite Lord of the Rings movie visually is Return of the King, because
It's got a lot going on.
It's so far removed from what Fellowship looks like. Like Fellowship looks, obviously there's a ton of CGI in Fellowship, but compared to Return of the King, it just is more physical and it looks more lived in. Like it has that texture, and Return of the King is doing that more so with its technology. And I think that's why visually it's my least favorite, even though I love like the resolution of the story and how everything ends and everything. But yeah, I totally agree with Jake.
And that's why Hobbit high frame rate is the best version of the movies.
Specifically that barrels down the river scene.
Oh my god.
I downloaded 2 different Hobbit cuts to compare them. Because there's one of them, the M4 cut I downloaded, where they redid the CGI to get rid of certain scenes, which I'm very looking for. Like, I was watching the sample video and I was like, oh, this is actually like pretty well done CGI. Like it's just like omitting things from the scenes, but I was like, it's still pretty well done. So it's like 4 hours and 8 minutes. So I'm like, I'll set aside like a Saturday afternoon and drink through it.
Is that the combined one where they combined all 3 movies into
it's
just
all
one
3
movie?
into one movie. I brought it was 2 different versions, the M4 cut and I forget what the other one's called. And then both of them, those people, or I think it's just one person, separately edited their own like Dol Guldur like side story with Gandalf into like a 45-minute little movie with like the Council of Saruman and all that stuff. So
is there enough content for that? Wow,
45-minute. I mean, it's not quite a movie, but like I think it was the bulk of the content.
I think I was just so disinterested at that point in the story. Oh man, those movies are terrible. The first one is fine. It's fine.
Yeah. First one's fine.
And then the Smaug and Hobbit, the Smaug and Bilbo interaction in the second one is great, but that's the only good thing about that movie.
It's like that Battle of Five Armies part is so, and it's like pans out from the Lonely Mountain to tons of mountains around the Lonely Mountain with like worms coming out of the ground. I was just like, what is going on in this film?
Oh, I yearn for the days when Guillermo del Toro was supposed to direct the 2 movies.
That would have been crazy. Yeah, 2 movies would have been perfect, I think.
Yeah.
Perfect amount of time. Folks, that's been Movie Talk here on Subpixel. If you like that movie talk, feel free to complain in the chat and let us know. We'll bring it back next week.
We did 20 minutes of film talk, and
we're pilot testing a new podcast.
I'm no longer depressed.
I don't like. I hate
Mads Mikkelsen from Hannibal still, and it just says I am no longer mentally ill.
Oh, that needs to
too.
be on a t-shirt. Subpixel
Probably
content.
is. Check Redbubble. Put it up on our Redbubble.
Dear Redbubble, I would like one shirt, please, of Mads Mikkelsen. It was from Hannibal, saying, I wonder if you wrote that out and mailed them a letter if they would make it for you.
They're probably coming up with an AI text prompt that can do that for you.
Oh, and it orders the shirt and pays whatever what the AI thinks is appropriate.
Yeah. $70 sounds good. I don't wear shirts as an AI, but it sounds
one
about
banana,
right.
Michael.
The AI
How much could it
copyrights it as
cost?
well. Okay, let's talk about the games we've been playing, folks. I've been playing video games. They're called video games. Halls of Torment is a game I talked about last week. It is a Vampire Survivors like, where you're running around killing things. It is in Diablo 1 style, so it is like that isometric style. You're fighting bosses that have like different attack patterns and stuff, and then you're killing ads and all that sort of thing. Ian and I talked about it briefly on his Untitled Goose Game show. He didn't like it that much. He said it's a worse Vampire Survivors. And I tried to play Vampire Survivors again this week, and I really can't get into it. It's weird. I have 15 hours in that game, and I think that was all when the game was in early access or like first out, and it was like that newness of it. But now, I think during Game of the Year last year, I think it was you, Kyle, who we were talking about how we didn't feel a drive to like do another run.
I played, I think, like 6 hours of it, and those 6 hours were great. Like it was nice, and I love the music. I think the score for that game is wildly awesome. Like it rips. And then I put it down and never wanted to pick it back up again. I was like, okay, I've washed my hands of this game. So yeah. I don't know. Part of me wishes I was like that for games that are like that, where you can literally just do endless runs. I don't have a game like that. Like I pretty much, once I finish a game's story, if it has a story, I like don't really replay it unless it really, really, really grabs me. And if it doesn't have a story, I'm even less inclined. If it's just like a procedural kind of generated thing, it's like I'll experience it, but then I'm done. So I don't know. I feel like I'm missing out, or like there's something wrong with me at some point, but then it's just not for me. So I just have to be satisfied knowing I'm not as good as some other people, you know?
No, I think that's fine. So yeah, Vampire Survivors, I had a little bit of that, but it was never like I finished a run. It's like I need to do another run. Halls of Torment is exactly that. I finish a run and I'm like, oh, I just got this new piece of armor. Let me put it in my fire build. And also, stats and builds is a thing I never do in video games. And if you go watch the archive of me playing Halls of Torment on stream from a couple weeks ago, I'm like talking about the different builds I've tried out and different stat boosts I'm getting every time.
Did it?
Yeah,
like tried it. Yeah.
I'm good on Halls of Torment. Like it's just something about it that just feels really good, and it's all like in your face. Like tells you exactly what to do. You have a giant quest thing that tells you all the quests. Well, like, except the ones you haven't unlocked, but it tells you exactly what you're getting, exactly how to beat it. And I think I went in Vampire Survivors. I was testing it out again this week, and I was like, oh, how do I get to this next level? And I click on all the levels, and none of them tell me how to get to the next level. And I'm like, well, it's just like beat this for the challenge mode. And I'm like, I haven't gotten every level in this game. I know there's more levels. Tell me how to get to more levels.
It is somewhat obtuse.
And I don't know, like, again, this is not a knock against Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors is a fantastic game. And Halls of Torment is totally right now like 90% Vampire Survivors in the Diablo style. Like, that is true. But also Vampire Survivors is a copy of a mobile game. So we're not going to get into that argument. But I am having a blast with Halls of Torment. It's like, I think it's like $10 on Steam. I recommend it if you just want something to play while you're listening to podcasts or watching Star Trek or watching, Star Trek. That's what I've been doing. It's very good. Secondly, I've been playing more Oblivion because I said to myself, should I play this list of games for Game of the Year or should I play more Oblivion? And we all know who won that argument. I finally
Oblivion
finished...
is Game of the Year, folks.
Yes,
you
heard it here first.
I wouldn't be upset.
It is a fantastic game. I love Oblivion. Everyone knows that. But I finally finished all of the achievements for the original game, and which means I could finally play Shivering Isles, which is a DLC I've never played in.
Is it
Oblivion.
an official DLC or is it
official?
Okay.
Shivering Isles DLC. I did not know. I just thought it was like some quest. I did not know Shivering Isles was a new map. There's a whole new map I've never been on in Oblivion. And I lost my mind when I got teleported there. I had no idea. The intro is really cool. You like go through this portal. There's a guy at like a interrogation table who's like, "Hey, you have to agree to this to enter." And so you agree to the thing, and then he leaves the room, and then all the walls disappear around you, and you're just in the middle of a forest or like in the middle of a plain or whatever. And you just like stand up and you're in the map walking around. It's really neat. I'm like 25 minutes into the DLC. But I just wanted to share that I had no idea. I like just thought it was quests in the main game. I had no idea it was its own place with like its own monsters. There were new monsters I've never seen, and there were new potion materials. And also like
armor.
Everyone's kind of crazy it's like a different plane of existence, and everyone's kind of crazy. And there's one guy who just talks about, he's like, "There's a bag of bones over there stuck inside that flesh. We need to get those bones out." And I'm just like, okay, buddy. Just don't take my bones out of my flesh. I like my flesh a whole heck of a lot. But yeah, it's very fun. It's very good. Moving on, Karen and I finished Escape Academy. We started it 2 years ago in 2022, and we had like 4 levels left. It's fun. If you have a friend you want to play Escape Academy with, I suggest doing that. I think it's only 2-player. You can fly through them pretty quick. We skipped most of the story because it started to get a little boring, but the missions themselves, we only had to use a hint once on the very final one, and it was because I think we didn't understand what there was like, you had to figure out what the puzzle meant and then do the opposite of that. And we just couldn't figure out what the puzzle meant to do that. So, it's a fun game. It's on Game Pass. It was just free on Epic Games. I recommend it if for free. Do it. Dead Cells. I'll wait to talk about.
Real quick.
Go
what is Escape Academy?
Oh, sorry. I should have explained that part. Escape Academy.
I don't know what it is.
It's basically escape rooms. You go to this college, I think it is. You are going to this college of escapism, and you go around to the different classes and you're doing escape rooms, and it like uncovers this storyline, and as you're going through the storylines you're just doing more and more elaborate escape rooms. You find out that the
college is woke.
Yeah, the college is woke, and they
was trying to escape from wokeness, and instead I fell right into it.
You got trapped by it.
Yeah, and you're a baby trying to escape the womb of this college.
Hillary Clinton's a character. It's wild.
Yeah, it's wild. You're a young Donald Trump. Plucky boy. Yeah, so it's just escape rooms. I've seen people play Escape Simulator, and that looks like a much more fun time.
It is. It's actually really fun. We should do a stream of that sometime. I played that like 3 years ago. It's very fun. I like it a lot.
I would do.
It's got a lot of charm. Yeah.
Yeah, we kept saying we're like, oh, that looks like more fun. But
there's no storyline. It's just the rooms. Like that's all it is.
That's true.
And there's a lot of like user created content in that. It's fun.
That's the other thing. Like there's DLC for this game. It's got a season pass. I don't know if all the DLC's out, but
gross.
I was like, I'll buy the DLC pass when it's all out because I don't. It's not that big. Sorry for not saying that. Dead Cells, I'm gonna skip because I'm not super far in it, but I did play a little of the Castlevania mode, and the Castlevania music remixes are really great. They sound rockin'. And then Lethal Company, we streamed Lethal Company with good old Save Data. Kyle and I were there. It was a really fun time, and I just wanted to shout out, they added a new mode called Challenge Moon, where everybody who plays Lethal Company can select the weekly Challenge Moon. You get 1 day. You land. You have to get as much loot as possible back onto the ship and take off. And you it's the same map every single time, which took me about three returns of that for me to realize that.
You're like, oh,
and I went,
these lights look very similar.
And so you like land, do it really fast, and there's so many monsters inside that moon. There were so many monsters outside the building. It was really fun. We did I want to say we did 6 or 7 tries, and we got down to the top 7,000. Was it? Yeah,
we were sub 7,000, which when we started, we were at like
22
70 something.
Oh yeah,
like
70
something. Yeah. And then we got 69,000, which we were all happy about. And then we were like, we could do better. And I think once we started our charge screaming, that really gave us the motivation as we ran up to the mansion that we were stealing from to we needed some gusto, but it was fun. There were a couple moments that I don't think, because Zach was streaming, that like we didn't catch. I laughed so hard at some of the stuff that happened. That game is it's a nightmare in the best possible way, and there are just certain things that happen when it's like you and one other person, where it's like just stupid stuff, and I was cackling with laughter. It was awesome. So I love playing it with other people.
Yeah, it's so good with other people. Jake, we missed you for sure.
I'm sorry.
It is wild that you're just playing that game, and then you're just alone with someone, and you're like, I should make conversation with this person.
Yeah,
we're like in dark, scary hallways. We should at least chat. And it's just like a weird thing, because you're so used to multiplayer games that you're playing with people, and you're in a Discord server, so you're all talking to each other all at the same time. And I know I bring this up every time, but that proximity chat, it's just so good. Perfect. And it works so perfectly. Yep. And it's perfect for stream, because there's the hectic ship moments, and then when you're out there, you're just with a couple other people, and you can chat, and it's just chef's kiss.
It's been out for what, 3 months now, 4 months, something like that.
Yeah, October 20 something.
The amount of compilation videos of like best Lethal Company moments that are like 4 hours long, and 90% of it is really funny. It is a testament to how effortlessly like funny and charming and well put together that game is. So I love that game.
I never not think about Jake and Vic with the coil heads, and Jake going, "It's right behind me, isn't it?" It's
completely unplanned.
It's just like, James Cameron couldn't write a better movie. Certainly could. It's just incredible.
James Cameron's Lethal Company.
Oh man,
game over, man. Jesus. Now I want to make one of those After Effects meshes. I want to see aliens in Lethal Company.
I want to see a Catherine Bigelow Lethal Company, because she won the Oscar for directing, and he didn't.
That cutaway to him is so funny.
It's hilarious. Like 12 years later, still hilarious.
So funny.
Let's move on. Kyle, I'm gonna skip over to you.
Okay.
Because you were the second person to fill out your games.
Jake's games are more important than mine. No, I'm just kidding. I was wondering what Jake was playing. And now I don't have to, because I can read the list.
Talk about Jake's games then.
So, all right. So, no, I'm just kidding. Well, we already talked about Lethal Company. Lovely, wonderful, amazing game. Still the best fun I've ever had in early access, which is actually something I can proudly say now, because most early access experiences are terrible. That's it. So I'll skip to the next one. I'm going backwards. A Jacob Terrio recommended game, Roto Force. I played, I think, 3 hours of it, which was all that was required of me, and it's difficult. It is not like easy, and I am not particular. I don't have any kind of anything against those types of games. I'm not good at them. Like, I'm not great at them. But I will say there was about maybe like an hour in something finally clicked. And I was like, I get it. Like, I get what I'm supposed to do. And I was engaging with it a lot more than I thought I would, even though I died so many times. But it's a lot of fun. It's all just, you're playing basically on the edge of an interior of like a shape of like a circle or a square or a rectangle. And what kind of game is it called, Jake? I don't even know
it's
what
like it's a bullet hell or a shoot 'em up.
Yeah,
Either
it's like a
or,
bullet
a little bit
hell.
of both.
Yeah, it's a shmup, and a lot of different enemy types and different weapons and styles that you can choose to play as far as movement. You can like teleport and like snap to like different edges, and you're doing this all while everything is shifting as you move. So it's kind of got this circular, like ocular effect, which is really interesting. And the music is awesome. I really like the music in it, but it's not for me. Like I wouldn't enjoy beating a game like that, but the experience was definitely really unique, and I can tell that there was a lot of a lot of effort was put into like the minutia of like the it's the little tiny things, like the animated pixels around certain enemies, even when they die or when they shoot or when they get hit, like stuff like that. I really appreciate the artistry that goes into that. So I liked it. I had fun. Jake, how many you've beaten it? Have you gone back
Well,
to
no,
play it?
I haven't rolled credits on it. I think there's
Oh,
like the level
For
select
shame.
screen
I know.
has like 9 levels, and I think I've done 5 or 6 of them. My problem was I took a break from it, and then I tried to jump back into like the 3-star difficulty levels, and I was like, I need to go back to 1 and build back up.
Yeah.
So that's why I haven't finished it. But I mean, I can look at my Steam, see how many hours I played. But
No, I don't really care. No, I was just being polite. No, it's good. I can see why you recommended it for Game of the Year. It wasn't on my list, but I was glad I played, or maybe it was on my list. I can't remember. Because we had to put 20, and after 10, I was like, I don't care.
Yeah,
Just
same.
put whatever.
yeah, that was way too many.
Yeah, it
Way
was
too
so.
many.
I said, I was like, keep it at 15, and then Ian was like, no, we're gonna do 20 because of the stupid asinine way that I want to do this. And sorry, Ian, I know you're gonna watch this and be really upset that I said that. But yeah, I don't know, I think it's so stupid that we have to do 20 every year. It's too many games.
It's like
There's
I
too
didn't
many
even
games.
play 20 games from 2023 this year.
I played 35 new games, and only like 10 or 11 of them were from last year. So.
I will say his correction to us doing it by position average rather than the point average made way more sense, and I think saved our asses on this.
I don't
year's...
think I stopped reading after a certain time. I was like, they'll figure it out.
Way too
Will figure it
complicated.
out. I'll just show up on the day and record it.
It's the green number.
Yeah. But thank you, Karen, for putting that together for us. You are a treasure. No, I appreciate the fact that Ian and you like put that together. I can't think about it because it's just too much for me. I got other shit to worry about. The last game is Baldur's Gate 3, which is a game about being similar as possible to Mass Effect without being Mass Effect, and trying to be Mass Effect times like 1,000 in the amount of choices that you can make. I have sunk almost 100 hours into this game. I do not like it. I do not like Baldur's Gate 3. I'm saying it here. It did not make my list, not even in my top 20. I have never wanted to connect with a game more and been met with utter indignant, like just rudeness from the game towards the player. The amount of crashes that I have had playing this game, the amount of choices that are taken away from you and then given to you and then taken away again because of one, bad rolls, which are not fun. Like, it's not a fun gameplay element. I'm sorry. Like, it's the dice roll, the RNG stuff is interesting, but as a gamer, as someone who wants to experience a story the way that I know it can be experienced, I hate the fact that I have resorted to save scumming constantly. Like, constantly. It is a function of the game that I do not want to engage with, but it forces me to engage with. And it's different no matter how similar it wants to be to D&D 5e is what it is, the complex that it's trying to channel. It is not that. It is not the same as playing D&D in person. It doesn't react the same as an actual human DM would, no matter how many permutations they allow for. It doesn't represent that to me insofar as I've experienced playing. I've played like 3 or 4 different campaigns with actual human DMs. And those have all been better experiences than Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think the writing is particularly good. I don't think the graphics and the animation are particularly good. I don't think it's particularly cinematic, and it wants to be really, really badly. And I cannot, I think the ultimate nail in the coffin for me is I can't stand playing it. I hate moving the camera. I hate the fact that whenever I go through a doorway and try to click beyond the doorway, it opens or closes the door instead of pushing my character through. I hate the fact that when I go into a new area and click forward, if the camera's in the wrong position, it pulls you back to the area that you previously went to. And I just have never been so frustrated by a game that so many people are in love with, and I can't understand why. It doesn't make sense to me that this many people and this amount of like verve that's behind the excitement and hype for this game just completely fell dead when I played it. And I don't like it. I really don't. I don't think the music is particularly good. It just doesn't do it for me. And I'm the type of person who like wants this type of game to work for me. Like I love RPGs. I love these deep, winding stories that you can really create to be your own. But I think they went for a level that was so far and above what other games have done that it actually ended up detracting from my experience because they went past a certain point of like experiential systems that you can play with, and it just did not connect for me. So that's my thing with Baldur's Gate 3. And I'll probably reiterate this on our big talk, but that's what I thought.
The craziest thing to me is that you put 100 hours in a game that you hate. I
want to understand why I don't like it, and I'm still trying to figure it out because I'm not done. I'm in Act 3. I only have like a couple quest lines left that I have access to. Oh, the stupidest thing, dumbest thing that I cannot stand is that it locks you out of the first 2 acts as soon as you go to the third. There's so many quest lines that are arbitrarily closed because they decided that Larian decided we're just not going to let you go back there. You can go back to Act 1 in Act 2. Like you can go back between those two. And I was like, okay, that holds. That I know that there's a warning that comes up when you leave the Act 1 area and go to the Act 2 area. It says, hey, finish up stuff in Act 1. But it doesn't say you can't go back. So you go into the Shadowlands and you go into the underworld or the underground, the cave stuff. And it's like, oh, wow, this game is like really huge and it's opening up. And then you're like, oh, I can go back to where I was before. Like I can go back to there and finish up like any little quest lines that weren't automatically closed out. And then as soon as you enter Act 3, which is Baldur's Gate in like proper the city, the big 3 areas or 4 areas that you previously encountered and have open quest lines are just automatically shut out. And I don't understand why they did that. I'm sure there's a systems logic to it that like behind the scenes they're like, well, like we didn't want you, like it would break certain things. But as a player, there's so many things that it's like I was planning on going back to that. Like I was planning on going back, and they even have and I'm sure maybe it's in the epilogue or something. Spoilers: when you beat Act 2, depending on if you're like how you play. I played like Paragon. Will has sat back for everyone watching the podcast, listening to the podcast. Sorry. I know I'm harping on this a lot. I really don't like this game. I don't even remember what the hell I was talking about. It's stupid that you can't go back to Act 1 and Act 2. I think it's really stupid. Okay.
Sorry, I haven't
Thank
beaten
you.
it yet. I'm in Act 2. No, that's great. Listen. I'm all for dissenting opinions. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
Everyone's entitled to
yeah.
their own opinion, however wrong they are.
Uh-huh.
No, I think
Sorry,
that's great.
Ian wasn't here today, so I had to take over being a hater.
No, that I genuinely like. I'm not happy you don't like that game. Obviously, I love that game. It has changed my life in 2023. But I think to a game having done that to two people have the exact opposite effects is crazy, and it is what gaming is about. So it's like,
Yeah.
I can't be mad at it. I'm not going to argue with you that you're wrong, because it can't change your opinion if that's what happened to you, you know?
Yeah.
I think that sucks, but I'm glad you can articulate it. I'm terrible at articulating why I love and hate things. So,
And I didn't write any of that down, guys. That was all at the top of my head, which is large. I can fit a lot of crap up there.
A lot of crap. That was Kyle's Baldur's Gate 3 rant. We'll be sending that to Larian on a VHS.
I've already sent them a very strongly worded letter.
Worded letter. I will say I didn't encounter any bugs with that game until Karen booted it up like 2 weeks ago, and it just turned her computer off every time she tried to run it.
I'm still encountering bugs. There was there's a thing in Act 3 that happened. This, I'm going to generalize completely. You don't have to take your headphones off. There's a moment in one of the major quest lines where you have to save somebody, and I saved the person. Like, I did what I was supposed to do, and then clicked on them to talk them. Hard crashed to my desktop every single time. I did it 5 times in a row.
Damn.
Just why? Like, how? That's a major quest line, and it was bad.
I figured out Karen's, which was she saved with her camera looking at like 50 goblins and fires, and I assumed
like a VRAM thing.
Yeah, I was just trying to load that, so I like lowered all the settings, loaded her in, walked like 15 feet away, bumped everything back up, and saved over there. And I was like, there, she could pick it up there.
Smart.
Hi, Halucha. Yes, new camera angle. I bought a new thing for my camera, and instead of putting it back where it was, because it arrives tomorrow.
Wait, is this the lens? Is this the new lens?
Yeah, this is a new lens. Doesn't it look good?
The lens.
Does, yeah.
Thank you for your help with that, Kyle. When you said it was good to go, I was
all I said was you picked it. I was like, yes, this is good.
I get so anxious when it's like cameras. I know enough. You guys know way more, but like lenses and apertures and that sort of stuff, I know nothing about. So I was like, let me just check with the people who are smart. The other great thing about it is my old lens was the stock one, so it like retract into the camera every time. And now this one doesn't do that, so I don't have to change the focus every single time. And like I do the weird like lean back and focus to try to get it right.
Try to get it like the mid ground.
Because
yeah,
the fucking this camera doesn't send zebra lines, the red lines through through the HDMI, which is a good because they don't show up on this camera like here. But I just want them for a little bit.
I'm using the C100 right now, and I'm using this real tiny 24 millimeter pancake lens, and thank God for Canon, it has autofocus. So I just set it to like face find, so I can like move like back, and it'll focus for me and stuff. I think
so normally my camera's here, it's on a thing that I literally have to unplug the camera and unscrew it every time I moved it. So now I got a little like plate thing that goes onto that, so I won't have to do that every time, because I gotta start using my camera for work now.
Ugh, gross. Halucha, you can bully me, at least. I don't know if Jake has the chat up, but I do. Thank you for saying my head is large and beautiful.
Yeah, Jake, I wouldn't pull it up unless you would cry. That's the meanest thing I've ever read about anyone.
I live in ignorance. Anytime I get on stream, it's just me coasting for an hour.
That's incredible. Speaking of coasting, can you tell us about the games you coasted this week?
Yes. Well, this goes back to, these are all the games I played since Christmas, because I wanted to talk about them, and some that I played last week and was going to talk about last week before the stream plans fell apart.
Sorry.
The quick ones, Venba, the narrative cooking game, good, great art, great music, way shorter than I expected. It was just like like 2 or 3 hours, or maybe even less. So I could have done with a lot more complexity and game. I understand that it's like semi-autobiographical, so I understand that maybe there wasn't a lot of room narrative-wise to, you know, stretch or add or whatever. So it was what it was. It was nice, it was fun, it was beautiful. But I could have sat with it for many more hours.
Mhm.
Super Mario Brothers Wonder. He's monitor the chat because there's going to be some bullying incoming.
Well, you're already being called a fake bitch by Halucha.
Well,
so
let's add more fuel to that flame. The only 2D Mario I'd ever, or like side-scrolling Mario I'd ever played before Super Mario Brothers Wonder was World 1-1 on the Game Boy.
Wait. Super Mario World 1-1, or
I don't even know. It's just that the classic World 1-1 that everybody that
so like
you
NES
felt-
Mario probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only side-scrolling Mario
That's
I'd ever
wild.
played. I've never completed a side-scrolling Mario game.
same here.
What?
Yeah.
I've never
So-
beaten a side scroller.
I
Mario.
got Wonder because I think Ian, I can't remember Will or Ian, one of you added it to the
Ian
list,
did.
and so
I
like,
haven't
okay,
played
I'll
it.
play. And so I think maybe a little bit of it is lost on me in terms of its inventiveness and its like mixing up the formula, because I don't really have anything to compare it to. It's just like, oh, fun platforming Mario game. And that's just kind of how I've been feeling through it. I'm like, okay, platforming Mario. Levels do fun stuff. Singing piranha plants, turn into an elephant. Okie dokie.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, it's fun, but it's not anything super fantastic in my mind.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's because I don't really have.
You wonder.
I'm
You
not.
wonder?
Yeah, I wonder. I'm not really able to appreciate it as much as someone who has a deeper knowledge of the previous side-scrolling Mario's before it.
I haven't played it, Jake, and I think I still agree with you. I don't know why they made Mario side scrollers after going 3D. I love Super Mario World. It's one of my favorite games of all time. The original Super Mario 1 through 3 are pretty fun. The Doki Doki Panic one, that one's pretty good. But other than that, I don't know why. I just like 64 is great. Galaxy's great. Sunshine, sure. Odyssey's great.
I can answer that question for you because they sell really well. That's why they made them. So I will say, and not to interrupt your thought, Will, but I'm totally going to. Do it. Jake, you and I are on the same wavelength as far as never having finished like a mainline Mario side scroller. I actually really liked Wonder. I think it was sort of maybe like the distillation of all the different side scrollers that I've played over the years that I've never finished, like finally culminated into something that it's like, oh, hey, this clicks for me. And it was in again, like the little things, like the fact that like there's the Goombas where it's like there's 2 in a line or 3 in a row, and you step on the first one and the second one will like watch you as like, oh shit, that's going to happen to me next. Like it's those little tiny moments. I thought it was just utterly charming and really just fun and pleasant to look at, and I don't know, it made me feel better playing, maybe because it's so bright and colorful and saturated and happy. That's like what I needed when I played it. I honestly probably should go play it again. But I really liked it. I thought that it was, like I said, it was charming, and it was, the controls were so tight. Like I played mostly on the Pro Controller, and everything was like whip sharp as far as where Mario went is exactly where I wanted him to go. And I don't know, I really connected with it. As someone who has not beaten any Mario side scrollers, that actually surprised me. So
Sure.
I don't know.
And I should reiterate, I certainly don't dislike it by any stretch.
Yeah,
I'm just
no, I
very
didn't
much
mean to
like,
say that. Yeah.
Yeah, all right, fun Mario game. But it's like I expect that from Nintendo. I would be more surprised if I actively disliked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it
Super
should be
Mario
like
Brothers Wonder.
every time they announce one, I'm just like, that's great. I don't really want to play it. Like,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah,
not actively
Nintendo's
hating
going to
or
deliver
anything.
another solid, well-made product.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be
Yeah.
QA to death.
Yeah, I think that's Nintendo's problem is they have to make something that's really exceptional for us to be like, oh yeah, new awesome Nintendo whatever, because they just consistently make good stuff.
Halucha just said that the new Subpixel series should be uh, Jake and me play through side-scrolling Mario games speedrun style. So basically, the series that we have right now, but just with
I
me
mean,
and
I
Jake
could certainly
playing
try
Mario
to,
games.
try to
You
speed
can
run
beat
some
Mario
Mario, but
1 in like 5 minutes.
two
Easy.
more,
Oh,
two more games to talk about.
go. Sorry, we have 3 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
Amnesia: The Bunker.
Okay.
This was one I know it came out in 2023, and so this was one I'm like, I like Frictional's other stuff, so I want to give this a go in preparation for the Game of the Year discussion.
I
I
played
really
it for
liked
Spooky
Amnesia: The
Pixel.
Bunker. I really liked it. I've played Dark Descent, didn't finish it. Didn't play Machine for Pigs or
Scary.
Rebirth.
Soma.
I've played Soma multiple times. Soma rocks. 2015 GOTY. And I've played one of the Penumbras, which I think is like the earliest frictional stuff. Really liked Amnesia: The Bunker. It's pretty short. I liked that it is like not open world, but it kind of is. The bunker is all interconnected.
Open bunker.
And yeah, like they a new thing for the Amnesia games, they give you a gun and then they immediately make you terrified to use it, use it.
Yeah.
But I just yeah, it had one of my favorite moments of like, gaming. I mentioned this in the Discord, gaming moments of 2023 where Kyle, how far did you get in Spooky Pixel?
Like almost 2 hours, but not anything past that.
Okay. So there's a point where you're trying to find, there's little like key codes on the back of some of the dog tags that you can use to unlock lockers, and you're looking specifically for one that I can't remember. You get the lighter or the wrench or something, but you know whose locker it's in, and so you're looking specifically for them. And someone's like, you find a note that's like, oh, I'm gonna hole up in the pillbox because then the monster can't get me. And so this was maybe like 3 or 4 hours in, the claustrophobic bunker, it's dark, whatever. Finally get up into the pillbox, you climb up into the ladder, and suddenly you're kind of above ground again. You're still in, the protective pillbox, but that's the sliver of a window in the concrete wall. And the sky outside of the window is so beautiful. You're like, oh, there it is. I'm trying to get there. And I was just like, just looking at the sky for like a second. And then a bullet like ricochets off the concrete. Like you hear the crack of like bullet impacting on concrete and then duck down. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot World War One is happening outside.
Oh my god.
Like
that's actually legit.
Yeah, I'd gotten so caught up in like my own little world down in the bunker that then you're like, oh wait, World War One is still going on.
The horrors.
Like so I'm gonna try to get out of this bunker, and then I still have to contend with trench warfare right over there. That was really cool. Yeah, Amnesia: The Bunker, solid. Liked it a lot. I'm writing a video about it. We'll see when it comes out, probably a year from now. And then I played Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, having not played the main game on release. But this was one that one of y'all added it to the Game of the Year discussion. I was like, oh, play it. Kyle said it.
Wasn't me.
I had a weird arc with Cyberpunk.
Started strong with that. I remember you were telling us about the glitch that you encountered.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that very first mission
Yeah.
when Delamain just went crazy prior to going
So
crazy
funny.
in a
It's
actual narrative
so
sense.
funny because it's such a classic glitch. Like
Mhm.
it's like everyone has experienced that, and I was like, it's like a point of pride at this point where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you got it, you got to experience the jank.
I did have I had one ongoing problem in the first couple hours, which was if I would save the game and then go do something else. Upon quick resume, within 3 or 4 minutes of continuing play, the little save icon in the top would start spinning, and it would linger there for minutes on end and
You're
never go
playing
away,
on Xbox?
the Xbox.
Okay.
And it meant that I couldn't reload,
Mm.
checkpoint, or save a new checkpoint. So I had to like be aware of it because sometimes I would not notice it immediately, and then I would do like a couple more minutes of narrative stuff, and then I would get to a point where then the new narrative stuff wouldn't load because the game still thought it was saving something. But then I figured it out, and eventually it went away. I don't know why. But the first couple hours I definitely had trouble with that. Uh, at some point during the main, what I assume is like the main kind of narrative of, you get the relic that has Keanu Reeves in it, and you're like, okay, we have to separate our consciousnesses or we're both going to die. At some point during the navigation of that story thread, I ended up in the Phantom Liberty story. And I was like, "Oh, this is really well integrated." Like, I totally had in my mind that I would do the main Cyberpunk stuff and then do Phantom Liberty to get, like, the whole experience. But suddenly I was like, "Oh, I have organically ended up in the Phantom Liberty stuff, and I kinda like what it's doing. I'm gonna pursue this." Because it seems like the the game doesn't mind that I'm doing that. The game seems to be totally okay with that. Um I did for, like, the first 10 or 12 hours of Cyberpunk. I kept thinking to myself, "I wish I were reading a book." Like, I had
Which is funny
a
because like
yeah,
that's
like,
where it started.
the gameplay wasn't necessarily clicking with me, and I don't think the gameplay fully ever clicked for me. I was definitely much more interested in the storytelling that was happening, but the gameplay was not clicking in such a way that I was like, "I like the narrative stuff, like, I wanna just, like, read it." Um no, I really ended up liking Cyberpunk. I didn't have any of the comically like besides Delamain driving off a cliff in that
Drunk driving.
opening mission.
Yeah.
um I didn't have any of like the comically like, people sitting on top of their cars or T-posing or any kind of weird um visual issues like
Dang.
that. Nothing
Missing
nothing
out.
game breaking aside from the weird save bug. Um, but no, I really ended up liking the the story of Phantom Liberty. I don't know, like it felt like kind of enough of a resolution. I don't know how soon I will dive back in to try to finish the main stuff. Um, but yeah, like all the Idris Elba stuff was good. The kind of I don't know, just a lot of good narrative stuff in there, and I did like though at first, anytime somebody would be like, "I'll call you back in a day when I have an update for whatever," and I'm like, "I guess I gotta do other stuff now." Like, it wasn't until several dozens of hours in that I noticed down in one of the interfaces, it has, like, a passage of time button
Yeah,
where
you can
you
like
can
sleep or whatever.
yeah. Where I would just be like, "Oh, I guess, it's kind of forcing me to go do other stuff while I wait." And I did appreciate that because I did end up doing a couple of the side missions that were pretty fun. Um, but yeah, there's a lot to talk
Nice.
about, and I could talk about it for a while, but I'll save it.
Yeah, I am in the midst of Phantom Liberty because I'm trying to finish up Baldur's Gate, and Phantom Liberty is going to be the next thing that I finish up. And I did what you did, Jake, which is I started completely over because I beat my first playthrough was, I think, 80 some hours, and I wanted that fresh experience of like, well, I know they've reworked a bunch of stuff, they've redone all the skill trees, and the RPG elements are like tightened. I don't I think 8 hours into the game now, and it's still not like perfect. Like it's not all there, but it's way more there than it was when I first played it. And I think the same complaints that I had for the original game, on the original patches that they put out, I have those same complaints, but less so. But the same positives that I had, which was the storytelling, the world building, the acting, the unfolding of events as you trigger them, which were all big highlights in my first playthrough, are still the highlights for what I've experienced so far of Phantom Liberty. So I'm very excited to finish it, and Idris Elba is great, and he's a wonderful addition. So I have positives to say, which is why I put it on my list.
I will be very interested to know how you resolve the Phantom Liberty. I really want to get to that where we can talk about the different choices we made. Not that Ian will never get there. But,
well, and we actually have to wrap this up quite soon. But the one thing I heard, and I don't know if you finished. Did you finish Phantom Liberty, or did you not try it? Or
I want to go back, but I'm not sure yet.
I heard that Phantom Liberty unlocks several different final ending paths for the end game. So that's sort of what I'm curious about doing, because I think I saved right before your final choice with Hanako or whatever, and I did like 3 or 4 of the original endings. And so I'm interested to see what those additional endings are, but haven't gotten there yet.
Should we jump straight to Wishlist Spotlight so that Kyle can?
Yeah, that's fine.
I gotta skedaddle soon. Sorry, Apple Vision Pro, you're too expensive.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of crazy news. There's an Xbox thing next week. Twitch,
the Switch 2 rumors,
Discord,
question mark.
Got rid of stuff. Yeah. Switch 2, Game Shark. Yeah.
You put so much work into having a really good newsreel, and we're skipping over. I'm sorry.
Ian's
I ranted about Baldur's Gate
and I put a couple in, but honestly, I was gonna cut most of it, and I think Ian would cut most of this too, and he put most of it here. So,
well, do wish list, because I'm interested to see what this is, or whoever put it on there.
Is
the
it
Spotlight?
Jake's? I didn't put it on here.
Okay. I did not put it on there.
Okay. I'm really confused, because this was on last week's Wishlist Spotlight, and
heck.
And Ian, I said, Ian, go for it. And he said, no, you put that there. I said, oh, it must have been Jake. And I don't remember putting it on the old one, but now I have to go check, because I'm the only person who knows what this game is, which is
mystery game,
which is Scald Against the Black Priory, I've been following this guy for like 4 or 5 years. And when I saw it on here, I was so excited someone else on the team saw it and put it on here, because I had no idea it was coming out in like 1.0 or whatever. And, so anyways, I guess I'll do it. And maybe I did put it there, and I'm just get so blacked out drunk I don't remember it. But it could
the problem
be.
You have.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. Scald Against the Black Priory. It looks like Ultima 1, 2, 3, 4. It is an old school RPG top down. You are walking around these cities. This CRPG, I'll read the little thing here on Steam. Scald Against the Black Priory is a retro-style party-based RPG set in a grim, dark fantasy world of tragic heroes, violent deaths, and Lovecraftian horror. Choice matters as you explore the engaging branching story mixed with crunchy tactical turn-based combat and character customization. Just the look and like Commodore 64 Amiga graphics of this game just look beautiful. Like I said, I had followed this guy on Twitter for a long time, back when he was updating the art style, the visuals. I just think it looks gorgeous. There's a couple screenshots here that remind me of the Ultima 4 screen. So go check that out. Wishlist that on Steam. This helps developers. Oh, there's a demo out as well. This helps developers get numbers. It shows Steam that there's interest in the games, even if you don't buy it. Wishlisting is good and helps them out. Yeah, I think that's super great. We got to get out of here because Kyle has to go rescue a few puppies on a ledge in the middle of Manhattan. Look for it in your theaters next week. I'm going to hit the outro button here, which means we're going to get the heck out of here. Boys, thanks for being here this week. That was super fun. Film Talk was a good time. We all decided as a group that Terminator movies are bad, which is crazy. A crazy thing to think of. Can't wait to watch Terminator 3. I heard it's the best. It's going to be great time. Folks, subpixelfilms.com is where you can go find all of our awesome content. Go check it out. Buy something from our Redbubble. No one has, so you could be the first. Other than us.
I bought stuff.
Sorry, other than us. That's Kyle over there. You can find him at Kyle of the Beard. That's Jake down there at _Jake Terrio on Twitter. Both of them on Twitter. I'm Will at Hunt270. At Subpixel Team on a lot of different things. We'll be back this weekend, Saturday at 4 p.m. with more Psychonauts with David and Will. That'll be super fun. And then Tuesday, more Speedrunners Untitled Goose Game. It's actually going really well. Bye.